criminal Arab gangs still cause terror on the streets of Montreal, even though they're behind bars. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. Now you're probably wondering why I'm not talking about the CPAC press conference that Kevin Vaughan held today, where 4 traitors were revealed to the Canadian population. Well, I'm actually going to be talking about that tomorrow, and I'm going to take a little bit of a different stance than other YouTube commentators did today, so stay tuned for that. It should drop at about 5:45 Pacific time tomorrow morning. Instead, I'm going to talk about something that has a more of a direct impact on the safety of Canadians in their day-to-day lives, and that is how our prison system is not protecting us from dangerous criminals who are behind bars. In question period today, the Bloc brought up the fact that Arab criminal organizations are still conducting their operations while in federal prisons. Let's go to question period and see the exchange between the Bloc and Dominic LeBlanc.
The Honourable Member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, one of the most powerful and dangerous criminal groups are the Arab Power Group, the 2 leaders of which are locked up in prison. And yet it is from federal penitentiaries, that Younes Aitaki, the leader of the criminal group, and Sylvain Kabuchi as number 2 run their operations. Arsons, protection rackets, murder. Nothing stops these new criminal organizations, especially not being in federal prison, apparently. Can the Minister explain how gangs that sow terror and death in the streets of Montreal can be run from federal prisons? The Honourable Minister for Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, of course I share my colleagues' concerns. These are concerns that are shared by everyone in this House. I was able to meet union representatives and Correctional Services Canada officials, so we could talk about extra technology that we could implement and add to those that already exist to make sure that examples like my colleague do not happen. We are also working with the Quebec Correctional Service and Minister Bonardel to give them these tools as well. The Honourable Member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, according to Kingpin Gregory Woolley, who was himself murdered in the parking lot of a community health centre in the presence of his wife and their child, the Arab Power Group is out of control and the next gang war will be a bloodbath. The leaders are in prison and they have nothing to lose, and yet they run their criminal operations from cell phones that are smuggled into federal prisons. We know it, the government knows it, the media reports it. How is it that notorious criminals still have access to phones in prison? Why isn't the Minister doing anything about it? The Honourable Minister for Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, our colleague knows full well that the government is doing a lot for this. We've invested in technology. I myself went to a federal prison in Quebec and I saw the technology that exists. I saw how we can stop drones from reaching prisons. Of course, we won't talk about the implemented technology because the information is not public, because that would give criminal gangs information to circumvent our measures. We will continue to invest in these technologies and we will do everything that is necessary to protect people in prisons and outside.
According to the Bloc, Arab organized crime groups are causing terror and death on the streets of Montreal. But they're not the only ones. Our weak criminal justice system, our weak correctional system, allows criminals to continue to conduct their criminal businesses while behind bars across Canada. And even though they call themselves correctional institutions, most of the people behind bars aren't corrected while they're there. For most of my adult life, I've worked in the criminal justice system, and I've dealt with many people who've been released after serving time for murder. Most murderers actually plead their cases down to manslaughter, and they're out in 3 years because they're only sentenced to 12 years initially, and after 3 years, they qualify for parole. In fact, I had actually dealt with somebody who had killed 3 people and was out after only serving 3 years. And I dealt with another person who was convicted of manslaughter. He spent 6 years only because he couldn't behave himself while behind bars. And his murder was clearly first degree and a hate crime. He should have spent the rest of his life behind bars. But our criminal justice system is very weak and doesn't keep people behind bars that should be kept behind bars. And now we find that these Arab criminal organizations are still conducting their business. They're still conducting reigns of terror. It is clear to me that we need a complete overhaul of our criminal justice system, not just our corrections, which definitely need an overhaul, but also our courts. We need to sentence people to longer periods of time. And for first-degree murderers, I actually believe that we should bring back capital punishment. And while you're in jail, if you're not behaving yourself, if you're still conducting criminal operations, and that is discovered, you should be placed in solitary confinement where you can't have access to the outside. And maybe we should even ask ourselves why cell phone jamming devices aren't employed in these prisons. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you think. Put your comments down below. And while you're at it, please like this video, share with your friends and on social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification so you never miss another video. Also, please join me on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific time for my live stream, where you can join in on the conversation, and I can prove to you that I'm not AI. Also, I do teach the Canadian firearms safety courses, and these are courses you need in order to get your firearms license in Canada, also known as a PAL. And you do require a firearms license in order to own a firearm or to purchase a firearm. I teach these courses on Vancouver Island, so if you need one of these courses and you're on Vancouver Island or will be for any length of time, please look me up. There are links in the description of this video to my website where you can sign up for one of those courses. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.